Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dan Bell from the Hampton Roads Innovation Collaborative. We are the region's tech council that was established in the late 90s. We're a C6 nonprofit. And we, in the old days, focused on incubators, things of that nature, even some lobbying for technology. But a lot of that stuff is kind of become a beast of its own. And so what we focus on now is just essentially bringing value-added programming to the region. Tech Tuesday is one, our HR Biz Wheel events are another, and so we just keep chugging along. We do want to thank Cox as a recurring series sponsor. I don't think we have anybody from Cox on board yet. Certainly hit me with the chat and let me know, and I'll introduce you. But barring that, thank you, Cox. So we're doing quite well as an organization, and Mr. Pete DiPaola from Microsoft is our guest speaker today. Pete and I have known each other since, Pete, what are we talking about? 2011 or something like that?
Yeah, like maybe 2000s, in early 2000s, yes.
Even from the earlier form of the Tech Council. That's exactly right. So we've been at it a long way, and I've been watching Pete in his journey, and here he is. And so we look very much forward to hearing from Pete about OpenAI. And again, everybody, I'm watching the chat, so we'll make sure your questions are answered. But with that, I'd like to turn it over to Pete, and I'll turn my microphone and video off as well.
Great, thanks, Dan. All right, well, happy Pi Day, everybody. This is always, I was telling Dan earlier that this dates my Microsoft affiliation, but when Microsoft used to sell the Zune music passes, on this day they used to offer it for like $31.04 per year subscription, but that's long gone. For everyone that doesn't know me already, I'm Pete DiPaola. I lead the data and AI application and innovation teams here at Microsoft in their customer success teams for the U.S. Department of Defense. So my team is primarily focused there. However, we do a lot of work both in commercial clouds all the way up through our air-gapped clouds as well. So let's go ahead and get started. So today I'd like to talk about two things, an intro to OpenAI and Microsoft's partnership with OpenAI, and also how we're investing into this technology for the future and applying it to some of our products to better serve our customers and partners. So first, I want to give you a brief overview of OpenAI. This is just kind of a brief history of artificial intelligence. Some of you may already know this, some of you may not. But AI is pretty much has a long storied history that spans like really many decades, right? So some of the earliest work in AI was done in the 1950s and 60s when researchers first began to explore the possibility of creating machines that could think like humans. During the 50s and 60s, AI research focused primarily on what's called symbolic AI, which is involved in creating symbolic representations of knowledge and using them to solve real problems. Researchers in the field really developed early versions of what we now know as expert systems, which are computer programs that mimic that decision-making capabilities and abilities of humans in a specific domain. In the 70s and 80s, AI research began to shift away from symbolic AI and towards more sub-symbolic AI, which involves using like statistical methods of AI, which is involving using like mathematical models to solve problems. This shift was driven in part by the realization that symbolic AI was too complex and difficult to scale, and in part by the development of new computer hardware that made it possible to process large amounts of data quickly. So where that took us then was to basically in the 1990s and 2000s, AI research continued to evolve and new subfields began to emerge. One of these was something called machine learning, which focused on creating algorithms that allowed computers to learn from the data without being explicitly programmed. So another was like neural networks, which are basically mathematical models that are inspired by the structure and the function of the human brain. So recently, you heard the news, there are now these things called generative models like GPT-3 and DALL-E, variational, autoencoders and generative adversarial networks, right? These are, and there's others that have arisen, but these are some of the main ones, and they continue to advance in the field of AI, right? So these models are able to generate new examples. And so actually generating new content that are similar to examples from a given data set. So it is being used in a number of different fields, such as natural language processing, computer vision, speech recognition, and a lot of others. Overall, AI has come a long way since its inception in the 50s, and it's continuing to evolve and improve at a rapid pace today. So really, what is generative AI? Where does it fit into the AI scope? A lot of people think, hey, it's Skynet ready to become aware. If you saw the Terminator movies, it's kind of like that, but not really. Generative AI is really a subfield of artificial intelligence. It focuses on creating systems that can generate new examples, such as images, text, or speech that are similar to examples from a given data set. So the goal of generative AI is to develop algorithms that learn the underlying probability distribution of a given data set, and use this knowledge to generate new examples that are similar to the examples in the data set that was provided. So generative AI models can be classified into two broad categories: generative models and discriminative models, right? So generative models such as GPT-3 and DALL-E, and then the variational encoders, et cetera, they learn from basically the underlying probability distribution of the data set, and they can generate new examples from that learned distribution. Discriminative models, such as deep neural networks, learn to differentiate between different classes or categories that are generally used for tasks such as like image or speech recognition. So generative AI kind of sits on top of other areas of AI, like unsupervised learning. You may have heard these terms: supervised learning and reinforcement learning, right? It relies on the capability of those models to extract useful features from the data set that can be used for learning the underlying probability distribution of the data, so that when it's used to generate new examples for the potential, it's used in can be used in a wide range of applications, such as like, again, computer vision, natural language processing, speech recognition, and others. So basically, overall, AI, generative AI, is rapidly growing within the field of AI, and we've seen that, right? We've seen a lot of evidence of that, especially recently. So OpenAI is basically the research company that developed GPT-3, and their aim is to really develop and promote friendly AI in a way that benefits most people, like that almost the average citizen can start using, right? That kind of thing. So the company OpenAI has made significant breakthroughs in the field of AI recently, and particularly in the areas of natural language processing and machine learning. So many of these breakthroughs have received significant attention from the media and broader tech community, which has led to a lot of the buzz that you're kind of hearing around this company and now Microsoft. Some of the most famous projects are things like GPT-3, DALL-E, and others. And OpenAI is considered to be one of the most advanced AI developers to date. So now I'd like to talk a little bit about the Microsoft and OpenAI partnership and how we collaborate. And you may have heard this in the news recently. So Microsoft has formed a partnership with OpenAI to collaborate on the development of artificial intelligence technologies. The partnership, we're aiming to accelerate the development of advanced AI systems and bring these benefits to more people, more people that maybe aren't as technical as others. As part of the partnership, Microsoft and OpenAI have agreed to work together on a few key areas, including developing AI technologies. The two companies will collaborate on the development of new AI models and algorithms, with a focus on natural language processing, computer vision, and other areas of AI. We're also focusing on building an AI computing platform. So Microsoft and OpenAI will work together to build a new AI computing platform that will allow developers to easily access and use advanced AI models and algorithms. And last, and two others are advancing AI research. Microsoft we spend more money on research than there's some third world countries spend on their, GMP, right? So, we are really advancing AI research. And so we're going to work together with OpenAI to collaborate on the range of research projects aimed at advancing the state of the art of AI. So we want to continue to progress. I heard Satya say, Satya in my background over here, heard him say recently that Microsoft our future is really in becoming an AI company. That's really where we are. And I'll talk more about that as we go forward. So we want to make AI more accessible. The partnership aims to make AI more accessible to a wider range of not only software developers, but organizations in general, in order to bring the benefits of AI to more people. So, Microsoft, we've also announced that we will use OpenAI's GPT-3 technology to add more capabilities to our products, such as Cortana, Power Virtual Agents, and Dynamics 365. So also, Microsoft has also made an investment in OpenAI by allowing the company to use Microsoft Azure as its preferred cloud platform, and allowing OpenAI to tap into the resources we have in research. So like I said, we have a huge research department, and so OpenAI will have access to those folks as well. So this partnership is going to give OpenAI the ability to scale its models and services on Azure, but also make them more widely available to customers. So overall, this partnership between Microsoft and OpenAI aims to accelerate the development and use of advanced AI technologies, with a focus on making AI more accessible to developers, organizations, and to bring other benefits of AI to additional people. So, and Dan, if there's any questions, just forward them to Bill and Satya behind me, okay? Or just let me know. Let me know if you have any questions.
If you have a cell number for them, I would appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'll text it to them.
Sure. Yeah. I'll send you their alias. So let's talk about the different models of OpenAI. So I mentioned GPT-3. You might have heard this in the news. It's pretty popular. Basically, this is for text completion, right? It's a set of models that can understand and generate, a natural language. Codex is a set of models that can understand and generate code. Software code, including translating natural language to code. It's a descendant of GPT-3, and it's been trained on both natural language and code. And then DALL-E is a set of models that can generate or manipulate images from natural language. So now let's talk a little bit about Azure AI, right? So Azure AI is a collection of basically artificial intelligence services that we offer at Microsoft as part of our Azure cloud, our overall Azure cloud platform. The Azure AI services are really designed, the way we've designed them is to make it easy for developers and enterprises to add AI capabilities to their applications without really a need for extensive expertise in AI, like having a data scientist who's been working in the field for 20 years, right? We're trying to make it easier for folks to adopt these technologies. So Azure AI includes a wide range of services. Some of those are cognitive services. That's a collection of pre-built APIs that allow developers to add capabilities such as natural language understanding, computer vision, and speech recognition to their applications. Azure Machine Learning. It's a cloud-based platform that allows developers to build, deploy, and manage machine learning models, as well as to create custom machine learning algorithms, right? And then applied AI services. That's a suite of scenarios, scenario-based services that enable organizations to accelerate adoption, such as, cognitive search, which also provides search capabilities over structured and unstructured data using machine learning models. So these services are integrated into the Azure platform, which provides capabilities such as our scalability, security, and compliance, right? As well as a number of other tools and services that can be used to build and deploy AI applications. I mean, Azure is built for those three things: scalability, security, and compliance, right? So that's the foundation really of Azure. So now we're applying AI to take advantage of those capabilities. So the Azure AI services really are designed to make it easier for, like I said, easier for developers and organizations to add these capabilities. And also these services allow developers to quickly build and deploy, right? So, and at scale. And it's to take advantage of some of those core capabilities that Azure offers, right? Azure AI, it's integrated into an AI builder within Microsoft Power Platform. So if any of you are using the Microsoft Power Platform, you may have seen this. Allows businesses and developers to quickly build out and deploy custom AI models and to integrate them with things like Power Apps and Power Automate and Power Virtual Agents in order to advance those capabilities and improve the data management and security. It's also easily to scale up, because with Azure, you can easily scale these applications up and down as you need. So Microsoft has adopted, Azure AI across a wide range of its own products, right, and services to improve the functionality. Some of those things where we've really invested in AI and put these into the products, Office 365, right? We've integrated AI capabilities into Office 365, such as natural language processing, computer vision, text analytics, to improve the functionality of the products, such as like Word and Outlook. And you may have seen this. Some of these, like this allows some of the users to perform tasks such as automatically summarizing long documents or automatically tagging images in email attachments, right? Dynamics 365, it's a collection of business applications, right, that enable organizations to manage customer data or interactions, as well as automate some business processes, right? So with Azure AI integration, Dynamics has been offering features like predictive lead scoring or sentiment analysis and chatbots to help the businesses better understand and interact with, their customers and their customers' data. Bing, Microsoft's search engine uses Azure AI to analyze large amounts of data, improve search results for users. For example, Bing will use natural language processing to understand users' queries and generate more relevant search results. And you may or may not know this, but Microsoft owns LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is Microsoft's professional networking site. LinkedIn uses Azure AI to help users find job opportunities, connect with others in the field, and improve performance, right? And of its recruiting tools, for example, it might use natural language processing to match job seekers with relevant job opportunities, and uses machine learning also to help recruiters find the best candidates. And then last but not least, Xbox and gaming, right? Xbox is built on Azure, and Microsoft uses Azure really to power its Xbox gaming console. So, Azure AI allows Xbox to learn a gamer's preferences and anticipate, in some cases, anticipate those and automatically adjust the gaming experience, right? So that's why if you have, two kids at home and they're both playing the same game, they may not have the same gaming experience based on how they're interacting with the game. So it also allows to improve the performance of the games, and it really does offer a more personalized gaming experience. So these are just kind of a few examples how Microsoft's adopted, AI and some of the open source technologies at scale with its products. But basically, overall, Microsoft has been using, Azure AI across its various products and services to improve their user experiences and to offer more personalization, and to be a little bit more efficient and automate some of these for our customers. Anyway. So Azure OpenAI Service. So this is a new service that we're providing. And so Open Azure it's built on what we call value pillars, right? Unlock new scenarios and new use cases. We want to tailor it to the needs of the users, apply AI responsibly, and access enterprise-grade security. Believe me, I work in DoD. I get a lot of customers talking about AI and is it secure? And so the short answer is yes. I mean, there's a lot of things you have to do some best practice, just like securing any other kind of service or application, right? You still have to lock things down in certain ways, right? So, but it falls within Azure, right? So Azure is in our air gap clouds extremely secure, and so we have this running within our clouds, which have a security layer that's wrapped. There's 4 different security layers. I don't really have to go into the details of Azure, but basically you have security that goes everywhere from the core data level to the application level to the enclave level to the outer perimeter level. So there's at least I think I counted at one point, I think there's at least 6 layers of security that someone has to get through to actually get to your data on Azure. And let alone that your data is not all sitting on one server either. So the OpenAI service is a platform offered by Microsoft, and it's in partnership with OpenAI. So the service aims to make it easier for developers and organizations to access and use advanced AI models and algorithms that were developed by OpenAI in conjunction with Microsoft. And Azure OpenAI service provides a number of different features. So some of those are like there's a wide range of pre-trained AI models. That's the one thing that when you're building models, you need to train the models. And if you can already walk in with a set of pre-trained models, they have a good sense on the data that it's looking at. The time to get these working are a lot shorter when you have pre-trained models. So developers can access these pre-trained models that were developed, such as GPT-3, to add advanced capabilities to applications. Some people may not know this, but GPT-3 has been training over 7 years with data. That's why it's such a powerful tool right now, because it's got 7 years of training behind it. There's also tools for fine-tuning models, right? So developers can fine-tune the pre-trained models and adapt them to specific use cases, such as natural language understanding or computer vision. There's also APIs for interacting with the models. A service provides a simple, consistent API for interacting with models, which makes it easy for developers to integrate the models to their applications. And then there's, again, scalability, reliability. This is a service built on Azure, which means that it can scale to handle large amounts of data and traffic, and is highly available and reliable. And then security and compliance. This Azure service, OpenAI, is designed to meet a wide range of security and compliance requirements, and because it's built on Azure, it still provides a number of already built-in security and compliance features. So, the Azure OpenAI service is really designed to make it easier for developers and organizations to really access, again, use these models, these algorithms developed by OpenAI, and trying to bring those benefits to more of the common people. So with the help of this service, developers can use the pre-trained models. They can quickly build and deploy AI applications, and with minimal effort, and also fine-tune these models to adapt them to your specific data or use cases. So let's take a look at some of the top OpenAI capabilities and use cases. So based on our work with customers on OpenAI, we find 4 capabilities that seem to kind of stand out. There's content generation, there is summarization, code generation, and semantic search. So content generation, this has sparked a lot of interest among those who want to be able to automate responses to customers or generate personalized UI, right, for their company's website, or with recruitment firms who want to be able to generate content for bringing in the right candidates, right? So a lot of website kind of driven kind of things. The second popular that we found with OpenAI has been summarization. So there's so much goodness here for call center analytics and scenarios where companies will want to summarize conversational logs, or be able to summarize long and tedious reports or analyst articles. Social media trend summarization is another use that it's important for companies to know what their customers are heading towards and what their industry is trending towards, right? Those kind of things. Code generation. The third popular capability that we saw was that thinking of wanting to convert your SQL to natural language or vice versa. Code generation is a powerful capability that it can help convert code, as well as generate text and source code directly into your application. So I'll talk more about this later in this presentation, talk a little bit more about Copilot GitHub. So the last but not least was the semantic search, right? This, with OpenAI, can basically quicken the time to search through documents and find information that's needed. So these use cases are particular to these 4 categories of capabilities of OpenAI that I was just talking about. But in addition to these, we have seen some examples of multiple model use cases that are popular among our customers that kind of span across these, right? So some of these are end-to-end call center analytics, right? This, takes your process all the way from classification through to email generation to increase productivity and save time and effort during the call center operations. Customer 360, right? Where hyper personalization will use more of one of the above capabilities to ensure you have complete or holistic view of your customers, right? And it's increasing your customers, hopefully it's increasing your customer satisfaction while using feedback and trends to serve them better in the future. So you want to try to find those trends, try to find those things, what's happening with the customer and through these interactions. Business process automation, things like, document automation, or where we can use capabilities across search, code generation, content generation to do things faster and obviously more efficiently. So, GitHub is probably one of the most widely used source code repos that are out there right now. There's a few out there, but we find that GitHub is very popular. And so I want to drill into how we've applied OpenAI to our GitHub product. And by the way, Microsoft does own this product. So let's talk a little bit about that. So at Microsoft, we're striving really to give developers that advantage of AI. And so GitHub Copilot accelerates basically the software development and delivery with some efficiencies here, right? So basically increasing developer productivity and satisfaction. I'll go into this in a little bit more detail about what that really means. But basically Copilot supports. We find that it's been driving a lot more developer satisfaction and productivity, helping developers really kind of focus on some of these real problems. It really provides suggestions in boilerplate code that developers can cut down on the development time and create more consistent code. By adopting Copilot, it also has secondary effects. We see, and I'll show you some survey results and how job satisfaction and retention have improved. And in this market right now, it's just finding good developers is really hard, and keeping them is even harder because they're wanting to jump ship for the next 10K in salary bump, which it's hard to see, right? Accelerating innovation. A lot of times using Copilot, teams can prototype new ideas more rapidly and innovate faster, right? As an additional benefit, some of these companies see that adopting the latest technologies can attract new talent by investing in the best-in-class tools. They want to seek to modernize some of their development processes. And so kind of Copilot does help a little bit with that. And then bridging some of the skill gaps. So Copilot helps professionals learn and practice new languages faster. For employers in demand of talented developers who have some of these legacy programming skills like COBOL, GitHub really can help companies train and grow some of these employees much faster, right? Because and I'll kind of talk a little bit about that in a minute, but but think about just being able to type in, I need code that gives me all the prime numbers from here to 1 million, and boom, the code's written, right? So you just need to know what you want to do, and then it can get done. So Copilot offers, like I said, code suggestions, contextualize and synthesize to your project, right? It can convert comments to code. So you can describe the logic you want and then let GitHub basically assemble the code for you. It can autofill for repetitive code, like when you're having to do some code that has to be repetitive, it will quickly provide boilerplate and fill in the repetitive code patterns. It can show you alternatives. So it'll show you a list of solutions to use as provided, or you can edit them to meet your own needs, right? So it kind of gives you those options to do those kind of things. So after early observations and interviews with users, we surveyed and received more than 2,000 responses from developers to learn at scale about their experience using GitHub, right? So the numbers kind of centered around 3 different categories of findings: efficiency and flow. So 96% say they're faster with repetitive tasks. Perceived productivity. So 88% say they are more productive, and job satisfaction and well-being. Right, 75, focused on said they were focused more on satisfying work. So I have a link there, and I'll send this deck out. But there's a link there for the survey results data. So here are some of the more details from our findings of our research. So the first four numbers, the 88, 87, 77, and 73, are from the efficiency and flow section of the survey. So faster time to completion, they exert less mental effort on repetitive tasks. So that's really important if they keep going. They also spend less time searching, and they stay more in the flow. So if you're not a developer, developers will understand this, that when you're in the flow, you're moving, you're busting out code, you're very efficient. And so what they're telling us is that, this Copilot using, OpenAI with GitHub to create Copilot has helped them to be more in that flow. The last two, 60 and 59, these are from the satisfaction and well-being section, right? They are more fulfilled with their job, less frustration when coding, those kind of things. So just a little bit on the survey results. So here's a few of the quotes that we've seen. These aren't paid for. These were not sourced by GitHub. But some of them are pretty interesting. It's good when I saw one like you win this round, Copilot. I'm not sure what that means, but I kind of like that quote. But just some of the feedback we're getting on this product has been outstanding. It's been amazing, and and I just feel like we're right at the tip of the iceberg with this product as we go forward, and we can really start to see developers really turn the corner on as far as productivity and the investments that companies, especially smaller companies, that have to make. They may only be able to afford 1 or 2 developers for their organization, and to get more productivity out of these folks and to have greater job satisfaction, that speaks a lot. So GitHub Code, so it's available where you want it. You can have it, you can be on your desktop, right? Or it can be, we're using a popular IDE or integrated development environment, or you can even use it in your browser using GitHub Codespaces, right? So basically you can keep your favorite editor. You don't have to you don't have to use a separate editor, which, is really good for Microsoft, because in the past that people have, complained that Microsoft was a little bit on the proprietary side, but what we're saying is that we're open, right? We're an open source company, and you can pretty much use whatever editor you want. So here's your code editor with Copilot enabled, right? So your editor provides context to Copilot. GitHub Copilot uses the OpenAI Codex model and GPT-3 behind the scenes, right? It returns suggestions to your editor where you choose to accept or ignore them, right? So GitHub Copilot provides context from local files. It's not attached to a repository. The file being edited could be hosted on GitHub or any other repo, but it's not a requirement, right? So GitHub shares data in a temporary way. It's shared just long enough for GitHub Copilot to provide a suggestion, right? We do not take that code and put it back into a data model for suggestions and to be used at other places. Copilot uses the transformative model, think of something like Google Translate, right? So you put some words in English, translate it into another language, right? So Google Translate hasn't seen that exact sentence translated into that new language before, but what it does is it understands the semantics, the definition of the words, the language patterns, whether there's a subject or direct object, and it's based upon that input, right? It suggests an appropriate result. You could think about GitHub Copilot as like a translation tool, basically. So GitHub Copilot will write some novel code, but having said that, GitHub is looking for language patterns, and it learns language patterns, right? That's what it's doing. There may be times where a particular line or a few lines of code appears in thousands and thousands of other repositories. That starts to look like a language pattern instead of its own unique piece of code. So in those cases, Copilot will occasionally, regurgitate what it thinks is a pattern, and it's seen as it may have seen it so many times. For that case, Copilot team, we created an IP filter, right? So that includes a filter that detects code suggestions matching public code on GitHub, right? So you can choose to enable or disable the filter. When the filter is enabled, GitHub checks code suggestions with their surrounding code of about 150 characters or so, something like that, against public code on GitHub. So if there's a match or near match, the suggestion will not be shown to you, right? This could be done on a service, this is done on the service side of GitHub. So you can either turn that filter on or off. If you want to use public, have it model after public code that's out there or not, or you can just have it pointed at your own internal repository inside your organization. So, so basically it's there to sort of be flexible enough to make your job easier as it is developer. So think in terms of like accountants, right? Accountants don't do calculations in their head all day long. They're not thinking up new ways to add and subtract. They have calculators and tools to enable them to be more productive. Well, kind of GitHub is that evolution, right, of tooling for developers and for software developers. So, if you're looking at GitHub, so it's basically available for individuals or businesses. You can get it. These are some of the benefits or the things you get with it. Business has everything for individuals, plus it's more license management, and it's an organizational wide management, and there's some policies that you can put in place for that. Cost for me, when I looked at this originally, I was like, wow. I mean, as an individual developer, it's basically $100 a year for an individual, right? Or $19 per user per month for enterprise, right? So I'm thinking, wow, for $10 a month, well, it's $10 a month or $100 a year, but for $100 a year as a developer, yeah, if it's going to help me to be more productive, I can turn out code, and I might be an independent consultant, right, in the marketplace. I can, if I can now take on 3 projects and get them done in the same amount of time, that's awesome. I would do it. So, as a developer, we like to tell people you're in control when you use this product, right? You can enable it as you desire in your IDE or at any time, or you can opt out of telemetry sharing with GitHub, and you can block suggestions from public code. So it gives you that flexibility to do that. Obviously enterprise features, they provide additional controls around, what departments and whether public code or suggestions are enabled, right? So you can by adding and managing users, you can do that easily enough and control it. It's controllable on a per department or organization basis. So if you're looking at this for an enterprise, easy to control all that. And so at Microsoft, we're continuing to explore how GitHub Copilot and AI can help developers to get through that entire, software development lifecycle, right? So from directing coding through finding errors, through even documentation, that kind of thing. So I want to thank everybody for your time, and I'll be happy to take on any questions that you might have.
Great content, Pete. Very, very informative. I haven't seen anything come up on chat, but everybody, you can feel free to turn your microphone on and just have a conversation if you like. Please go ahead and do so.
Hey, this is Bruce Reichert here. I work with DoD Cloud Brokerage, and would love to champion this capability for some of our DoD customers. And so I guess 2 questions with that. So are slides available to share? And is this any timeline or anything for like a DISA PA for these services?
I don't have a timeline from DISA. You know that story. But yeah, these slides will be available. There's nothing confidential here. It is all public, out there in the public. So yeah, I'll go ahead and convert this over and send it over to Dan, and Dan will post it. Yeah.
Awesome.
Actually, I'll send Bruce. You'll receive it directly to your email address as well.
Sounds good. Yep.
Right. And yeah. I'll look into the DISA question though. Yeah, because that's a very good question.
Yeah, and so I guess a follow on with that too, not to take over all the questions here, okay. But so we're a Microsoft partner as well, and so I guess just this isn't really a question, more of an open ask, but if there's any path for a Microsoft partner to provide this open AI capability, or the DoD customers, that'd really be beneficial, right? And so we work with members of your team here, DoD side, the Azure team, yep. But this is one of those new things where the more that we can push it, the better it will be for everybody, I think.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So Bruce, my alias at Microsoft is Pete DI Delta India at Microsoft.com. You can feel free to send me a note. So yes, we have a few partners that have stepped up, but I mean, we're always willing to enable and support others. Right now, OpenAI is available in commercial, and it's available. I think it's in the west, central, and east regions for commercial. There is a timeline to get it to Azure Gov. I haven't yet, because it's fairly so new. I haven't yet seen the roadmap to get it to more of the secret and TS clouds, right? So,
Gotcha.
yeah, but we're constantly pinging. And I worked in engineering for 2 years before I took this job last year, and I'm constantly pinging my buds in engineering saying, need the roadmap, right? So, because I know once, especially our DoD customers, start looking at this, they're going to want to know, when can I get it high side, right? That kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and IL5 is the kind of first path to that, and yeah, but commercial is good as well. We could start looking at options.
Yes.
So that's awesome. Thank you. I appreciate this.
And we have a lot of DIB or FSIs that are actually starting to look at this and running this for their own environments, that kind of thing. So
sure.
Yeah. Yep.
Any other questions, anyone? Very interesting content. Leading edge.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, seems like it's a quiet group today.
Okay.
So, but they will post the video URL as well as the slides and sends them over. So give me a couple days on that. But I want to thank everybody for attending today, and Pete, my special thanks to you for delivering the message, and Microsoft for being such a great innovator for so many years. And I worked at Apple in the old days, and we had some interesting times between Apple and Microsoft, and Apple and IBM and all that. It's come a long way, baby.
Oh yeah, it has. Yeah. Yep.
It really, really has, and that's a good thing. So with that, I think we'll call it quits for the afternoon. Thank you, one and all, and watch for the materials. And we'll see you at our next Tech Tuesday coming up next month. Thanks again, everybody.
Thanks all. Appreciate you being here.
Thanks, Pete.
Yep.
Look forward to seeing you.
Yep. Yeah, we'll talk soon. Thanks, Mike.